My name's Eric Bodenstab. I've lived in Arvada since 2018. I have 2 children here, and my wife Jennifer, who's a teacher, works at Jeffco Schools. Myself, I'm an engineer by trade, civil engineer. I deal with parking structures primarily, and I decided to run mainly because the incumbent was not being challenged. Over the course of about 9 months when people were coming into the election, no one challenged Mr. Moorman in District 1. So I thought it was important that we have a competitive election. It's good for Arvada. It's good for whoever ends up winning it, and we'll see what happens in a few months.
What steps will you take to address the needs of the unhoused and the affordable housing crisis?
I'll work with the county to address the issues of the unhoused. It's not just a City of Arvada problem. It is a county-wide, if not region-wide, if not national problem. We do want to look at the root causes of homelessness or the unhoused, and I think we do need to make sure that everybody adheres to whatever laws that we're expected to follow on the streets. Everyone should be expected to follow on the streets at the same time. I would be in favor of finding a navigation center if we can find the appropriate site and engage any nearby residents prior to purchasing and or selecting a property. We do need to find more shelters for the unhoused, and again, I would work with the county on that one as well too.
What policies would you support to reduce traffic congestion and promote effective growth management in Arvada?
In order to promote effective traffic management and effective growth management, certain policies I would support. We want to encourage multimodal transportation. For years, and I was on a bike only, and I think there's a large portion of our residents that are comfortable being on a bike for 6 to 12 months a year. So we want to encourage bike lanes, of course, to ease some of the automobile or truck traffic. In addition, I know of a problem point. It doesn't affect District 1 as much, but Indiana Avenue is very narrow. I've seen it myself. It needs to be widened, and we'll have to look at budgeting for that at some point, either with the help of CDOT or other grants. In terms of residential growth or other types of growth, we're looking at mostly infill development at this point. We have about 600 acres of open land that we can develop, and we want to encourage mid-density in those regions, so that our roads aren't facing additional challenges. I'm also aware of a project just right outside the city in District 4, Golden Technology Center. It is calling for a warehouse there with potentially 3,000 trip generations. So I don't think it's actually the appropriate development for that site. So I would look at controlling certain aspects of unsuitable development for certain locations.
What specific actions will you take to enhance transparency and build public trust in City Council decisions?
Right now, we do need to have online access and for comments with the public during our meetings and planning commissions. It's important that people who can attend in person are able to participate. We should use the technology and not limit it. In addition, up to about 5 minutes of time, about 5 minutes, should be used for public comment. And I won't say in certain cases, but when a more nuanced testimony occurs, then that person should be given more time to make their point and drive home their argument so that City Council hears it. I'm aware of the fact that in some public comment periods, the same point will get driven home and home again. So sometimes we go for quantity, not quality, and I understand in the interest of time that we've cut it to 2 or less. In addition, I'm probably the only candidate that's mentioned citizens' assemblies as a direct democracy, or a deliberative democracy method in order to enhance public engagement. It works particularly well with land use issues, complicated land use issues that impact diverse groups of people with different needs. With those assemblies, you take 60, 80 people, and they're educated on a particular issue, and then they're able to get expert information on the situation, and then debate and discuss that with their own neighbors, and it usually has a good outcome. Well, it's a pleasure to come here in the city chambers and have this discussion with my neighbors and other citizens and residents in Arvada. Again, I came in because I like competitive elections. I like to see more than just one bubble on a ballot, and I like to give voters a choice. So I think I do also bring a fair amount of unique skills. I don't know the last time Arvada's had an engineer on council, but it's perhaps time to have one again. In addition, I have been a broker. I've worked in the financial sector as well too, so I understand markets, bonds, and so forth. I'm very interested in the Metro District format for development here in Colorado. We might be already built up in Arvada with very few possibilities for those districts coming on board again, but there should be a continuing dialogue and relationship between the existing Metro districts, particularly in District 4, not my own home district, but it should be a continuing dialogue that promotes better government within the city limits.